Have you ever wondered what would happen if you did everything right with your money and still lost it all anyway? Not because you were reckless, not because you ignored advice, but because you trusted the wrong experts. What if the very people you believed were protecting your future were quietly working against it the entire time? And here is the question that should make you pause before you watch another second. If hiring one financial advisor is considered smart, what does it mean when a family hires four and still ends up broke? Picture this for a moment. A couple in their early 40s sitting across from a well-dressed financial advisor in a polished office. They are nervous but hopeful. Years of savings sit in their accounts, retirement funds, college savings for their kids. Everything they have worked for. The advisor speaks with confidence, uses language that sounds sophisticated, reassuring, almost comforting. Diversification, long-term strategy, managed risk. It all sounds right. So they do what most people are told to do. They trust the expert. They hand over control. Now fast forward 3 years. The same family is sitting at their kitchen table, not in a polished office anymore. The mood is different. Quiet. Heavy. Their accounts are down significantly. Fees have eaten into their returns. Investments they did not fully understand have underperformed. And the most painful part is not just the loss of money. It is the realization that they were not protected. They were exposed. And this is where the story gets uncomfortable. Because instead of stopping after the first mistake, they did what most people would do. They assumed they just picked the wrong advisor. So they hired another one, and then another, and then another. 4 advisors in 3 years, each one promising a better strategy, each one sounding just as confident as the last. And yet somehow, with every switch, things got worse. How does that even happen? How do you go from doing what everyone says is responsible to ending up in a worse position than if you had done nothing at all? Stay with me, because the answer is not obvious. And by the end of this video, you might start questioning advice you once trusted without hesitation. Here is something most people are not aware of. According to recent industry data in the United States, a significant percentage of financial advisors are not legally required to act in your best interest at all times. Let that sink in for a second. You could be sitting across from someone who sounds like an expert, who is managing your life savings, and they are only required to recommend something that is suitable, not necessarily what is best for you. So what does suitable actually mean? It means an investment can be acceptable for your situation, even if there is a better, cheaper, or safer option available. And here is where things start to get dangerous. Let me take you deeper into what happened with this family. Their first advisor recommended a portfolio filled with actively managed mutual funds. On the surface, this sounds reasonable. Professional management, market expertise, the potential to outperform. But what the family did not fully understand were the fees. Some of these funds carried expense ratios that were significantly higher than simple index funds. And then there were additional advisory fees layered on top. Now here is the question most people never ask. How much do fees actually matter? It turns out they matter more than almost anything else. Even a 1% difference in annual fees can compound into tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars over decades. And that is not speculation. That is math. So while the family thought they were investing for growth, a quiet portion of their returns was being redirected somewhere else every single year. And here is the part that makes people uncomfortable. In many cases, those higher fee products pay higher commissions to the advisor recommending them. Now I want you to pause and think about this. If 2 investment options exist, one low cost and one high cost, and the high cost option pays the advisor more, what do you think happens in a system where the advisor is not strictly required to act in your best interest? This is not about accusing every advisor. There are good ones out there, but the structure itself creates a conflict that most clients never see. So when the family noticed their returns were not matching expectations, they did what seemed logical. They left the first advisor and found a second one. This new advisor positioned themselves differently, more attentive, more strategic. They spoke about reallocating assets and timing opportunities. It sounded more active, more responsive. But here is the hidden question. Does more activity always mean better results? In many cases, it does not. In fact, frequent trading can increase costs, trigger taxes, and reduce long-term performance. But to the client, activity feels like progress. It feels like someone is doing something. And that feeling can be incredibly persuasive. So the family agreed to a new strategy. More adjustments. More movement. More complexity. Months passed. Then another year. The results still did not improve. And now frustration started to build. This is where emotions begin to influence decisions. And this is exactly where many people become most vulnerable. Because when fear and urgency enter the picture, you are no longer evaluating advice clearly. You are looking for relief. So they hired a third advisor. And this is where things take another turn. This advisor introduced alternative investments, private funds, more exclusive opportunities. The pitch was simple. Traditional markets are volatile. These options offer diversification and higher potential returns. It sounded sophisticated, almost elite. But here's the question that rarely gets asked. If something is truly a great opportunity, why is it being sold so aggressively? Many alternative investments come with even higher fees, less transparency, and limited liquidity. That means your money can be tied up for years, and understanding exactly how it is performing becomes more difficult. But again, from the outside, it feels like a smart move. Something different. Something advanced. And that feeling is what keeps people locked in. At this point, the family had moved through 3 advisors, each one different in style, but similar in outcome. Their accounts were not recovering. Fees continued to accumulate, and the clarity they were hoping for never came. So here is the question I want you to sit with. At what point do you stop assuming the problem is the person and start questioning the system itself? Because what comes next in this story is where everything begins to connect. The fourth advisor did something none of the others had done before. And what they revealed changed the way this family understood their entire financial journey. But here is the catch. By the time they heard it, most of the damage had already been done. Stay with me, because in the next part we are going to break down exactly what this fourth advisor uncovered, the red flags the family missed with every single advisor they hired, and the simple 5-question checklist that could have prevented all of this from happening in the first place. So what did the fourth advisor see that the others never pointed out? And more importantly, why did it take 4 different professionals for someone to finally say it out loud? When the family sat down with this advisor, the tone was different from the start. There were no flashy promises. No complicated language meant to impress. Just a simple question that caught them off guard. Do you actually know how much you are paying in total fees every year? Not just the advisory fee. Everything combined. At first, they assumed they did. They had seen percentages before. 1% here, maybe a little more there. It did not seem like a big deal. But then the advisor broke it down line by line. Fund expenses, management fees, transaction costs, hidden charges inside certain products. When everything was added together, the total was far higher than they had ever imagined. And here is where it gets uncomfortable again. In some years, the total fees were approaching levels where even strong market performance would struggle to overcome them. Now let me ask you something. If your investments grow by 7% in a year, but you are paying 3% in combined fees, what is your real return? And how many people actually calculate that honestly? This was the first moment the family realized they had not just been making small mistakes. They had been slowly bleeding wealth in a way that was almost invisible. And that is what makes this so dangerous. Because it does not feel like a loss when it is happening gradually. It feels normal. But the fourth advisor did not stop there. They asked another question. Do you know the difference between a fiduciary and a broker? The family had heard the terms before, but they never thought it mattered. After all, an advisor is an advisor, right? Not exactly. A fiduciary is legally required to act in your best interest. That means every recommendation should prioritize your outcome above their own compensation. A broker, on the other hand, operates under a suitability standard. That means they can recommend products that are acceptable for you, even if those products benefit them more than they benefit you. Now here is the question that changes everything. When you sat down with your advisor, did you ever ask which one they were? Because this family never did. And here is where the pattern starts to become clear. The first advisor earned commissions from higher fee funds. The second generated revenue through frequent trading and account activity. The third introduced complex products with layered costs and limited transparency. Each one operated within the rules, but none of them were truly aligned with the family's long-term success. So was this bad luck? Or was it something deeper? Let me ask you another question. If an entire system allows professionals to legally profit more from certain recommendations, what do you think happens over time? Do most people go out of their way to choose the option that pays them less? Again, this is not about blaming individuals. There are ethical advisors who do incredible work. But the structure matters. Incentives matter. And when you do not understand those incentives, you are playing a game without knowing the rules. At this point, the family was not just frustrated. They were exhausted. They had followed advice. They had tried to be responsible. And yet they were further behind than when they started. So the fourth advisor shifted the conversation completely. Instead of asking what to invest in next, they asked something different. What is your actual goal? Not in vague terms. Not just retirement someday. Specific numbers. Specific timelines. What kind of life are you trying to build? And for the first time, the family realized that no one had ever really anchored their strategy to a clear destination. Every previous conversation had been about products, performance, and market opportunities, but not about their life. So here is the question I want you to think about. Are your financial decisions connected to a clear goal, or are they just reactions to what someone else suggests? Because when you do not have a clear framework, you become easy to influence. Every new pitch sounds like a solution. Every new strategy feels like progress. But without direction, movement is not the same as improvement. Now here is where things become practical. Because everything we have talked about so far leads to one critical point. How do you protect yourself from this happening to you? The fourth advisor gave the family a simple checklist. 5 questions. And these questions are powerful not because they are complicated, but because most people never ask them. The first question is simple. Are you a fiduciary at all times? Not sometimes. Not under certain accounts. Always. And here is the key. You want a clear yes or no answer. If the answer is complicated, that is already a signal. The second question is how exactly are you paid? Not just a percentage. You want full transparency. Do they earn commissions? Do they receive incentives for recommending certain products? If you cannot clearly understand how they make money, you cannot fully trust the advice. The third question is what are the total all-in costs of my investments? Not just the advisory fee. Everything combined. Because as you have seen, small percentages can add up to massive long-term impact. The fourth question is can you explain this strategy in simple terms? If an advisor cannot break down your plan in a way that makes sense to you, that is a problem. Complexity should never be used as a shield. And the fifth question is what happens if I do nothing? This is the question almost no one asks. Because sometimes the best decision is not constant change. It is consistency. Long-term investing often rewards patience more than activity. Now let me ask you one final question. If this family had asked these 5 questions at the very beginning, how different do you think their outcome would have been? Because here is the truth. They did not lose everything overnight. It happened slowly, quietly, through decisions that seemed reasonable at the time. And that is exactly why this story matters. Most financial mistakes are not dramatic. They are subtle. They are built on assumptions that go unchallenged. Trust given without verification. Complexity mistaken for expertise. Activity mistaken for progress. But once you see these patterns, you cannot unsee them. So as you leave this video, I want you to think about your own situation. Not with fear, but with awareness. Who is advising you? How are they compensated? What are you actually paying? And most importantly, are your decisions aligned with your goals or someone else's incentives? Because protecting your financial future is not just about finding the right investment. It is about asking the right questions. And I will leave you with this. If doing the smart thing led this family in the wrong direction, then maybe the real advantage is not in following advice blindly, but in understanding the system well enough to question it. Thank you for watching. If this made you look at financial advice differently, even for a moment, then it did its job. Share this with someone who is about to trust an advisor, because it might save them years of regret. And if you want to learn how to make smarter financial decisions in a world that is not always designed in your favor, stay with this channel. We are just getting started.